David Burke, also known as the musician David, dressed in a black sweatshirt, stood behind a glass partition as his attorney entered his plea of not guilty.
We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste.
The autopsy results in the David case, spelled D4vd, have finally been released, and the details are heavy. With this information now out in the open, we're finally getting a clearer picture of what happened to Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Until now, this report had been kept under wraps. Authorities were holding back the specifics while the medical examiner's office was actively pushing for its release, creating a quiet but serious tension behind the scenes.
Singer David, known legally as David A. Burke, was supposed to face 2 court dates following his arrest for the 2025 murder and dismemberment of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. This post coming from the Associated Press on your screen right there saying, breaking, prosecutors say David stabbed 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez to death to silence her from revealing their inappropriate relationship. So
now the report isn't just in the hands of investigators, it's public. And more importantly, it's in the hands of Celeste's family. From what we understand, they're learning many of these details at the exact same time as everyone else. Imagine finding out something this personal alongside the entire world. That alone adds another layer of heartbreak to an already devastating situation. Before going any further, it's important to say this clearly. The details in this report are difficult to process. If you're sensitive to graphic information or have young people nearby, this may not be something to listen to right now.
In the murder case against the singer David, NBC News has obtained some court documents laying out some of the prosecution's allegations against him, including cutting up the body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez with a chainsaw.
The facts are serious, and they deserve to be handled carefully and respectfully. Now let's break this down step by step, sticking strictly to what has been officially revealed. For months, the biggest missing piece in this case was the medical findings. Without those confirmed details, everything felt incomplete. Rumors were flying, speculation was everywhere, but solid information was limited. This report changes that. It fills in some of the gaps that left so many people questioning what truly happened to Celeste. According to the official findings, the cause and manner of passing were determined back in December. That's a major point.
She texts him essentially expressing some jealousy and saying, look, I'm going to ruin your career. I'm going to talk about our relationship.
The report clearly states that Celeste passed from multiple penetrating injuries caused by an object or possibly more than one object. The manner of passing has been ruled a homicide. That classification alone shifts the tone of everything surrounding this case. It confirms this was not accidental. It was intentional. What hasn't been confirmed publicly is the specific weapon involved. As of now, no crime weapon has been officially identified to the public. Investigators have not released those details, and there's no confirmed statement about what object was used. That unanswered question still hangs over the case. The report itself provides precise medical detail. It states that Celeste suffered 2 separate penetrating wounds to her torso. The first wound was located on the upper right side of her abdomen.
One of the things that stood out is the prosecution laying out their theory of the motive, essentially saying that the victim here was going to expose David Burke.
Celeste decomposed.
We can expect that the defense will say there's no direct evidence or there are problems with the forensic evidence.
According to the medical examiner's findings, that wound penetrated her liver and had an approximate depth of 1.5 inches. That is a critical injury. There was also a second penetrating wound, this time to the lower side of her chest. This injury was measured at around 2 inches in depth. Together, these injuries were determined to be fatal. The wording in the report is clinical, direct, and unemotional. But the reality behind those words is extremely serious. Investigators also documented the condition and location of her remains at the time they were discovered. According to the report, her remains were found inside the front trunk of a vehicle that was registered to the popular singer David. Her head and torso were positioned inside a body bag. Those are the confirmed details as stated in the official documentation.
He orders an Uber to her house the next day. She takes that Uber from her house to his house, and investigators say that that night her phone goes blank. There's no activity. Yes,
wow.
2025.
It is hard to hear that investigators, you know, jurisdictions are obviously different,
Yeah.
but they were checking with David.
Yes.
When she was missing, then she went back home. Then she's found in his car.
For months, people were asking what really happened, demanding answers, and questioning why so much information was withheld. Now, with the autopsy report officially released, some of those questions have clearer answers. The facts are stark, and they shift the understanding of this case in a major way. During the examination, investigators documented more disturbing findings. Both of Celeste's arms were missing above the elbows, and both legs were missing above the knees. Beneath the first bag that was discovered, there was a second bag. Inside it were what appeared to be her arms and legs. According to the report, those remains appeared to have been dismembered into several fragments. These are extremely serious details, and they are described in direct clinical language in the official findings. At the same time, the report states that Celeste's body was in an advanced state of decomposition. There was visible discoloration, insect activity, and partial skeletonization.
So David's attorneys had pushed for an immediate preliminary hearing, but then they backed off after receiving the voluminous amount of discovery in that case.
So we know that happened. We also know that a motive was released. The motive being that the singer David was worried that this young girl was going to reveal that he was having an inappropriate sexual affair with a young girl. To do your job properly as a defense attorney, you need to see all of the evidence before you do an actual hearing.
The medical examiner also noted that her left eye appeared to be absent at the time of examination. Some body parts, including certain fingers, were not recovered at the scene. These omissions were specifically documented by investigators. Another detail that stood out in the report was a tattoo located on the side of her right index finger. It read, "shh," like it was quiet. Some viewers may remember that early reports mentioned a similar tattoo seen on David in a photo that circulated when the story first broke. That similarity caught public attention quickly, especially online, where people began connecting dots and raising questions.
Say that on Celeste's body, they found pieces of that plastic inflatable pool. They obviously, again, say they have all of these text messages. They have surveillance video of him being the last person to drive that Tesla before he went on tour. They feel like they have a ton of evidence, which was presented in this document today. The defense did not want this to be public, but the judge says this is a public document, so now we have all of this. They've scheduled a preliminary hearing for May 12th.
The report also carefully listed what Celeste was wearing when she was found. She had on a tube top, underwear, black leggings, and black socks. The tube top, according to the documentation, had multiple holes in both the front and the back. Those details were recorded as part of the physical evidence collected during the autopsy process. Toxicology results were also included in the findings. Testing performed on liver tissue showed a low level of ethanol, which is alcohol. However, the report clearly states that this level did not appear to contribute to her end.
But we'll see what happens because there is a ton of evidence against him. So we'll see what his defense team decides to do.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a ton of evidence. And yet the question remains, like, why did it take so long to make an arrest if they had so much evidence?
Well, they were piecing it together later.
Investigators further explained that it was unclear whether the alcohol was from ingestion before passing or the result of post-mortem changes. Post-mortem changes are chemical processes that can occur naturally in the body after passing, which can sometimes produce alcohol internally. The toxicology section also listed several other substances. Most notably, Celeste tested positive for benzodiazepines, methamphetamine, and MDMA. However, and this is important, these results were described as presumptively positive. That means the substances showed up in initial screening tests, but confirmatory testing would still be required before any final conclusions could be made. Initial screens can detect possible presence, but they are not always definitive without follow-up analysis. Finally, the autopsy report begins outlining the evidence that was collected during the examination, setting the stage for what investigators would continue to analyze as the case moved forward. Investigators stated that they swabbed the handles and zippers of the bag containing Celeste's head and torso. While the report does not spell out the results of those swabs, this kind of testing is usually done to check for DNA or fingerprints. That means investigators were looking for any trace evidence that could connect someone directly to the bag. The bag itself was described in detail, noted as having 3 handles on each side, along with additional handles at the top and bottom. Every small feature was documented carefully, showing how methodical the investigation has been. Another detail that stood out in the findings was the presence of small blue plastic pieces located at the cut sites on her arms and legs. Those fragments were collected and logged as evidence. Investigators did not publicly explain what those plastic pieces may relate to, but they are now part of the physical evidence moving forward. Each item collected adds another layer to what prosecutors may eventually present in court. Now shifting to one of the most recent updates from just 2 days ago. Investigators allege that on or about April 23, 2025, David invited Celeste to his home in the Hollywood Hills area. According to authorities, she arrived there, and that was the last confirmed time she was known to be alive. That detail carries serious weight because it places her at a specific location during a critical window of time. These developments followed the first-degree homicide charge that David is currently facing. In response to those charges, his legal team released a firm statement saying, "Let us be clear. The actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not unalive Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her passing." That statement makes it clear they plan to challenge the prosecution's case head-on. David has since appeared in court and entered a plea of not guilty. He is scheduled to return to court today, Thursday, in downtown Los Angeles. His legal team has been pushing to move the process forward quickly, with a probable cause hearing expected to address the evidence against him. That hearing could provide more insight into what investigators claim to have and how strong they believe their case really is. As the case moves forward, more attention is turning to the timeline investigators are building behind the scenes. Authorities are focused on digital records, surveillance footage, and phone data to piece together what happened in the hours leading up to Celeste's passing. Search warrants have reportedly been executed, and electronic devices were taken for forensic testing. That kind of data can reveal location history, messages, and activity patterns, and prosecutors often rely heavily on it in cases like this. Law enforcement has also emphasized that this remains an active investigation. That means additional evidence could still surface. Detectives are continuing to interview potential witnesses, review neighborhood camera footage, and analyze forensic findings collected from the vehicle and residents connected to the case. Every step is being documented carefully because the burden of proof in a first-degree crime charge is high. Prosecutors will need to show intent and clear connection if they want a conviction. At the same time, the defense is expected to challenge how the evidence was collected and interpreted. In cases involving forensic material, questions often arise about chain of custody, contamination risks, and the accuracy of testing methods. The upcoming probable cause hearing may reveal which pieces of evidence prosecutors believe are strongest and how the defense plans to counter them. Meanwhile, the community response has been intense. The case has drawn widespread attention online and across Los Angeles, with many people demanding transparency and accountability. Supporters of Celeste's family have held vigils and shared messages calling for justice. On the other side, supporters of David have urged the public not to rush to judgment, pointing to the legal principle that a defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Right now, the courtroom will be the space where facts are tested. Prosecutors will lay out what they believe happened. The defense will push back. And as more official details come out through hearings and filings, the public will get a clearer view of the evidence rather than relying on rumor or speculation. Over the next few days, we are expected to learn much more about where this case truly stands. Now that the autopsy findings have been officially released, those details will likely connect directly to the broader investigation and the evidence prosecutors say they have. Court proceedings could start revealing more about timelines, forensic results, and what both sides are preparing to argue. This is the stage where things can shift quickly, and each hearing could bring new verified information into the spotlight. As always, I will continue following this closely and will update you with confirmed developments as they are released through official sources. There is still a lot unfolding, and accuracy matters here. If you made it this far, take a moment to comment and share your thoughts respectfully. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel so you do not miss any updates, and share this video with others who are following the case. I will see you in the next one. Will.